Oh, man. It's takes some getting used to. But now that I'm finished with that, they say it might put a little hair on my chest. I don't know. It tastes like it would. What's up, YouTubers? Today I'm going to go over, since I haven't been able to do much car stuff, due to the storm that we had a couple weeks ago. All I've been doing is tree work and then working on my grandpa's house. I finally got the roof covered back up and it's ready. I've got to do the eaves. I'm trying to repair a bunch of rod on it. Once that stuff's done, it'll be ready for the metal to go on. But had to take a couple days break, I've been working on that every day for the last 2 weeks and doing my full-time job. So it can get taxing on you. So Saturday and today's Sunday, I've just kind of been piddling around the house and it's been kind of nice. But it's time now. I feel like since I've been using my old chainsaw a lot, the last few days, I was thinking about, man, I have picked the best all-around saw to use for really anybody that has a little bit of property that's not, and this is not doing it as a full-time job, you know what I mean? Like, just if you're gonna buy a chainsaw around the house, this is the one I would buy. This is the Stihl MS-180. It's the 2-stroke. Got a 16-inch bar. I've had this roughly 4 years and I've done a lot. I don't know how many trees I've cut, but I've done a lot of stuff. This is the second home that I've had this saw. And I've done all the tree work on both those homes, plus my grandpa's, plus a bunch of other tree work I've done for other people and stuff. I've used this saw. And I'm still on the original bar. This is my third chain that I put on it. And I was just gonna go over kind of how I take care of this thing. I don't use gasoline out of the pump. I buy this pre-mix stuff here. I believe it's 93 octane. Because I've heard it a lot this week, how a lot of people are complaining about they can crank on these things all day, they can't get them to run, and a lot of it's due to they don't take care of them, And the first thing where I see problems is you buy that cheap gas, ethanol gas from the gas pump, and you mix your own oil. I mean, you can do that, but I prefer to buy this stuff's like $23 a gallon, but I buy the pre-mix. I've been running a 50 to 1. It seems like I've tried 40 to 1, I've tried 50 to 1, but it seemed like the saw really likes the 50 to 1 mix. I use the VP, and I believe, let's see what octane it is. I think it's 93. I'm pretty sure it's 93 octane. But anyways, it's their mix, their everything. This is all that has been in that saw since brand new. 94. So, and I've done that, plus I use it, but I don't like just run it to the ground. Like, I'll do some cutting with it, and once I notice like the bar gets so hot I can't touch it, the chain starts to get that sag to it, it's time to clean the whole mess. Because what happens is when you get cutting, this right here, you've got an oiler in here, it'll start getting full of like debris and everything. Well, that will hinder it from, oiling and everything, and start making the bar and chain run hot. And once this stuff gets hot, it'll damage it. It'll make it not cut. You'll burn the bar up, because this bar's the oil's got to travel. It's got a little wheel right here. So what I do, probably at least 2 times a day when I'm cutting, I'll go ahead and clean this thing up, blow it out, and that's what I'm getting ready to do right here. But yeah, this saw, man, let's see, I haven't started this thing. And you're supposed to hold it down and start it like this, but and I haven't started it in 2 or 3 days. And it starts like that in the wintertime. I'll come out here maybe twice during the wintertime, do the same thing, fire it up, get the RPM up, make sure it's still oiling and stuff. And I usually, when I'm done, I clean it before I put it up, but I've been so busy that I just hadn't had time to clean it up before I put it back in its case. But yeah, let's tear this thing down and see what the inside looks like. And that's another thing too, I just cut up that blackjack. And that, to me, unless somebody knows any better, because I've been cutting silver maples, Bradford pears, mulberry, what else, some oak trees. Like I've cut up all kinds of different woods, but I've stayed away from the blackjack because that stuff is hard. Like you can almost have sparks coming off your chain, you know? And yeah, so I tried, but I did just get done cutting up one. And it still cuts pretty good, but I believe I would cut a little bit, let it cool off, and blow it out, you know, cut a little bit, you know, and that's what I was doing. I feel like it made it last a little bit better. And so, yeah, let's take this thing apart and see what it looks like inside. All right, so when you buy these, you get the little tool right here. Good thing to keep with it and not lose it. I've already lost it twice, but let's take these bad boys here loose. These are what tightens up the bar. And you notice well, you probably won't notice right now. But when you loosen it up, that thing gets a little loose. To pull the nuts off. And you could use a flat blade screwdriver and find a socket and a wrench that works for that if you ever lose that, but I've been trying to keep that together. But you can see just in the cutting I've done where that oil's able to travel around that chain and stuff, it just gets stopped up with, you know, sawdust and oil. It'll make a kind of paste it up in there. So I just lay it to the side. And then when you look in here, you've got your adjuster. And then on the bottom is where the oil comes in the bar and hopefully gets drug around and it tries to keep oil in the chain. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that bar off, and you can see it's about normal for as much cutting and everything. And you look at which way the chain goes. That'll be an important idea because, and I still do this sometimes, put the chain on backwards. So you'll see how it's got those little sharp edges. Those are running forward. Well, if you put it on backwards, it will not cut very good. You'll just be like, why isn't this thing cutting? And that's the reason. So I'll pull that bad boy off, lay it to the side. And yeah, this is you can see I've got a few little hot spots on it. Probably will buy a different bar. But the problem you get into with this one is like, once you get into a large enough stump, is really you need at least a 20-inch bar. So I'm wanting, is it the 291? I've been really researching the MS 291, and I can run a 20-inch bar on that one. I think I'm going to upgrade to that saw because that way I'll get both angles covered. But so far, now if I have, like I got a couple big stumps out here. Matt's got a couple larger saws, and I may either have him do it or I might borrow one of his. That's what's like kind of keeping me from upgrading, because it's like, well, spend $550, $600 on a saw, and I could just borrow one to do that, because not often am I cutting large stumps, but you know. Anyways, but yeah, it's probably getting close to being due for a bar, but you can see all that debris gets in there. We're going to blow that out with the hose. It's got that little wheel right there that chain spins on. But yeah, and what I also like to do too is, like, that's how it sits. I like to flip them. Each time I clean it, I'll flip it. But since we've been talking, I don't remember which way I had it, so. But you can see up in the saw here, and it still oils pretty good. But yeah, we'll blow and clean all that stuff out, because it'll get in there and it'll just build heat, and it can end up causing some problems and everything. And it's also a good idea, I just blew it out, but blow the air filter out, keep that clean as well, because not only you want to keep the debris from getting in the engine and keep it from running the motor and all that kind of stuff. But let's blow all this out. Between cleaning the chainsaw, I figured I'd go over some car stuff. Absolutely nothing. I haven't done anything with that. Got to get a few odds and ends for the gas tank. I got to put the radiator support in. Little penny stuff, you know. And I got to clean this garage up. But the old Ford here, we went up to the green waste yesterday and they've closed it down. Had a load full of limbs. I went ahead and burnt them, as you can see over there. But now we're at the point. Let me just show you. This is a must, and even I've put it on hold and not did it. But these cables right here, when this truck is a little warm, it cranks a little bit slower. Well, that tells me that these cables, now look at this one. There's only just a few pieces left on that. And when you look down in here, you can see a lot just on this end. It'll get worse as it goes down in the cable, but eat up with corrosion. This cable right here, that's a factory cable. So this thing's drawing more amperage when it gets hot. And the starter, it's just, the cables are old, corroded, they need to be changed. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I know I can still see a wire nut on that wire. I need to clean that up, but I don't know if I'll get to that or not. But yeah, just doing some housekeeping on this thing, some stuff I should have already done. If I would already had those changed, I would have had no problem starting this truck. But man, I've been driving it. If this was a Bronco with this color wheel and tire package, body style, oh my God. But that's what I'm gonna be piddling with today. But yeah, with everything that's been going on, all right, so we got everything blown out, got everything cleaned up. And I've been using that brake cleaner. I can't find it now. I usually spray that real good and then I'll air blow it out and get it back together. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bar back on. Like I said, I think it's got a few more miles left in it. I've used the squirt can. I put a little oil in it, kind of rub some oil on the chain. So now I'm gonna put this bad boy back together. So you take the saw, make sure, like I said, that your chain will go the right way. Or maybe put it on backwards and see what it does. But yeah, it won't cut if you put it on backwards. But yeah, go ahead and get that in there. And we're going to line that little pin right there. That's your adjustment side. You turn this right here, that's going to move, pull the bar forward, backwards, whichever way you want to go. That's going to get that adjusted for you. And you want to make sure that you don't do it too tight. So I'm going to go ahead, try to do this as best as you guys can see. Get that, go back on there. I'm probably blocking you. Let's get that to go in there. Uh-oh, did it come off on me? Usually I just get it right on there, but okay. And sometimes you got to back the adjuster off. So you go back the other way. Yeah, it's, get that thing backed off a little bit. Okay. So there we go. And of course it is to, see if I can bring this up here where you can see it. So you can see where the adjusting hole goes through. That's your adjuster. Those are the two pins that center it. So now it's on there. We'll make sure it's sitting flush against the body. We'll tighten it up just a scotch. You can kind of see how it does. There we go. Watch that bottom of that chain tighten up. That's good. That's loose. So now we've got that cleaned out pretty good. Get all those tracks. And definitely there's these 4 holes up here underneath that you saw earlier that line up with, there's an oil hole at the bottom. There's also an oil hole on the other side of the bar. Those have to be kept clean. So now we're going to put our side piece back on. And we've got our bolts here. Just going to tighten these up. Just, let me wipe them off real quick. Let me get this rag. But yeah, I figured this would be something good to go over because, like, I know this is a car channel, primarily what I wanted to make it out of, but I thought, why not make a video about doing this? Because I'm sure most of you car guys have to do your own tree work, have to do this, because if you pay somebody to do everything, you won't have any money to spend on cars, so you kind of got to learn how to do some of these things. But anyways, so yeah, that's still got that slack I was talking about. So I'm just gonna lightly snug these up. Really, let's tighten it up a little bit more. Take our, it's not too bad. It's almost perfect, I'd say, for my liking. Now, maybe a few of you guys are some arborists on here, and that's what my friend Matt, he is. And he knows more about this stuff than I'll ever know, but this is stuff that I've kind of learned from him. And also, when I was at the county, we done the 2007 ice storm. We had a huge tree deal, and that's when I picked up my first chainsaw and started using them from that. But I'd say that's pretty good. Like I said, if it rolls like that, it'll be pretty good. But I'm gonna call that good. It's cleaned up and it's ready for the next round. But it is ready for the next round. But yeah, the MS-180, that's my saw of choice. That's the one that I like to use for just your basic tree stuff. They've got a smaller like saw that you can do. I think you'd use it more of like a limb saw, but I think if you want one to have around the house, it's not too heavy. I've used this to climb up in trees. It's pretty manageable. I think the MS-180 is the ticket. So, and I think this saw only costs, is it 240, 250 bucks, something like that? I have to look. You'll have to look up the MSRP. Like I said, it's been 4 years. But yeah, this bad boy, it's a good one, man. I like it. So, and as always, don't use one without good safety glasses. You gotta have hearing protection. Don't be cutting trees in flip-flops and shorts. Wear some pants and some good boots at least, but you really need to have those chaps. And I have a set of those. So, because these chainsaws, man, they don't play games. This thing does not care anything about you or anybody or anything like that. It's cutting, it cuts. So if it can cut a hard blackjack tree, it has no problem with arms, legs, whatever. And it can very quickly ruin your day. And also, go to like a training course before you just pick one up and take up, or get with somebody that really knows about saws who can teach you how to use one safely, you know, because, man, we could make a whole nother video about how to actually use one, man, because you've got to be very careful, because in a lot of things in those trees, they'll have fencing in them, nails, and you hit stuff sometimes, you'll hit it, and if you're standing over it, this thing can come up and pow. I mean, there's so many different things. It's good to go through some type of safety course. I'm sure Stihl and Husqvarna and all that stuff, or I don't know. There's ways to get somebody to show you how to use one correctly. But yeah, that's what I use. I've had no problems with it, and that's my review of this MS-180, and that's what I've been using to do all my work, and I'm very, very happy with it. So next week, I don't know what kind of video I'll make for you guys. Hopefully we get to work on some cars, but right now we're just trying to get the home front taken care of. So have a good day, guys.